Okay. Hopefully everybody signed the disclaimer on the way in that you may get cut, injured, maimed, something in this presentation. So if that offends you, please leave. Not really. But maybe. So talking about drone hacking, a little bit of my history. I started building drones back when they were toys, and we actually, the picture on the upper left is not me. I was not around in that black and white era. I was born after they invented color, so that was good. But on the right-hand side, that was some of the first drones we built, and we built them out of nunchucks and Wii's. The guts for the nunchuck and the Wii in the bottom left there, that's one of the Wii controllers, so we had to get the accelerometer and the gyros out of them. And then we ended up doing a competition for UAV Forge, which is DARPA, Department of Defense, because they wanted to see how well just normal hackers could build a drone and fly it into their city, their mock city, and could they evade us. And we got second place. No one got first, which was interesting, but we were awarded second. That's a totally long story. So why are we hacking UAVs, drones? Well, for the first reason, we own the hardware. It's ours, right? And if we can hack our phones, right, we can put our own ROMs and unlock our own phones, we should be able to unlock our car, our house, our IoT stuff, our UAVs, our drones, our whatevers, right? So some common misconceptions, common questions, and I really wish this room was full of non-technical people instead of people that are intelligent. Can you hack my drone while it's in the air? No, not really, right? So this guy, this little Wi-Fi connected, OpenWRT, SSID connected, no encryption, wide open, I can send commands to it? Yeah, I can knock it into a wall, yippee, right? This one, DJI Spark, no, it's encrypted, right? Uses the same protocols, but it has not Wi-Fi at all. You can't see it as an access point, just using the 2.4 gigahertz. Can a drone get dropped with a Wi-Fi gun, right? There are several manufacturers that have these Wi-Fi guns out there. One of them right here in Pleasant Grove. And what they actually do is they don't actually command and control your drone. They actually just completely bathe it in every frequency that's possible that it can think. And it loses its brain. And most of the intelligent drones, when they lose their orientation of their brain, either do an RTC, which is return to China, which is where they came from, so it's only normal. Or they do a land, right? So yes, yeah, if you have $10,000 to $80,000 laying around, you can get these guns. Shotguns work just as well, but shooting anything out of the air is a federal offense. Okay, people need to understand that this is owned by the city, assuming this is your grass in your front yard. This, all the way up to there, is owned by the FCC, which is a federal agency. FCC? FAA, the other one. Not the FBB, but the FAA, right? So, so if you shoot something out of the air, Amazon or Google's flying over to deliver their coffee of the week, and you shoot it, that's a federal offense. So that's on your own. Can drones send home data? Big panic, China, bad people. No, we can't fly drones that send our data back to China. They don't, actually. If you opt into their service, it'll give analytics. The government and the military both have vetted DJI drones, and they've even come out with an enterprise version of their software, if you're that freaked out, that shows you everything that it's collecting. Or you just use a different app. There's several apps out there. You can fly the DJI drones. One's called Litchi that doesn't do anything, and it's all visible to you. Can my city/campus tell me I can't fly drones? University of Utah has a no drone policy right now. Can they actually do that? Not really, right? My homeowners association can't do that either. What they can say is I can't take off of their land, which they don't own, but I own, so that's fuzzy. But as soon as I'm in the air, I'm in federal airspace, right? So national park, can't fly over Yellowstone. You can, if you're standing 1 foot outside of the national park, you can take off and fly anywhere you want in federal airspace. If you drop and fall, game over, right? So can my homeowners association tell me I can't fly on their grass? No, absolutely not. Should I listen to them? I probably should, right? Because there's probably some person there who's got hearing aids that go whack job when the drones fly over, and yeah, I should be nice, right? I can go find a park or a beautiful mountain, right? Can you avoid unhappy people? Yeah, right? Like I always say, if you can get rid of the meat space, all of our problems will go away. Meat space being humans. Got it. Cyber meat. Okay. All right. Can you actually get around the FAA laws? Yes, you can. Here it is. This drone right here, the DJI Spark, weighs over 300 and some odd grams. FAA regulations say that you don't have to regulate anything that weighs less than 2 sticks of butter or 250 grams, because Americans don't understand grams unless it's in a baggie, right? Because then it's 2 fingers of grams anyways. But so they had to translate it into 2 sticks of butter. The new Mavic Air that just hit the FCC is 240 grams, right? So you can buy a real legit DJI drone that is lighter than the FAA mandates and regulations. Does this mean you can be an idiot? Yes? No? If you raised your hand, you're going to be an idiot anyways. So no, you can't. So what are uses for hacking your drone, right? Why does dark matter have to carry this stuff around? Why can't he just put a drone under it and fly it around? They did that at DEF CON in Vegas. They had some airplanes that would do war planing, war driving, finding SSIDs. Is something going to blow up? There's like this increasing winding noise. But the biggest thing is geo-evasion, is what some people call it. Big media people. Geo-evasion to me means I'm going to get a really good picture of something, and I have my FAA Part 107 license, or there's no one here, and I'm on the backside of TIMP, and I want to get a picture, but for some reason this app says I can't fly here. DJI actually makes several features in their app that allow you to bypass those and go on. But the media calls it geo-evasion, right? There's places I shouldn't fly, like the White House front lawn, right? I shouldn't fly over the University of Utah while they're playing a game, right? And I probably shouldn't fly near AirMed when they're trying to take off or land, because that's my fault, right? So back in the day, it's somewhere. I have a slide for it. Back in the day, you used to be able to just FTP to the drone, 0-day exploit, change the config. It was real easy, right? And DJI came out and said, oh, we're going to make it more difficult. We're going to encrypt all of our code and blah, blah, blah. And everybody would be happy because it is, right? Well, I own the hardware. I don't own the intellectual property for the software, but I sort of own the code that's on my drone, right? Sort of. You can sort of stretch it that way. So I'm stuck in this middle. So we always encourage customers to strictly follow their local rules, right? Yay. Lawyers wrote this, but it's interesting that he says, and this is the director of security, he says things like, unauthorized modifications are not recommended, which means to me, absolutely go for it, right? You're going to void your warranty, but everything I own is voided anyways by the 2 minutes into my house. But even then, State Farm insurance for $60 a year can cover it even though the warranty is void, by the way. Don't ask me how I know. So they asked the guy one of the people that hide their name, that is reversed engineered a file that was freely downloaded from an Amazon Bitbucket that had DJI's security key in it that they used to sign all their code with. It was freely given out, so he freely took it and freely wrote a bunch of apps called Dumbledore and DumbleRub and blah, 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 that actually take the code from the DJI drone, download it, decrypt it, and move on, right? And he's like, this was just an enticing thing, I just gotta go. So the front page news is saying, drones shut down Starbucks in London for 2 hours and people couldn't get their coffee and they're pissed, right? Drones shut down Gatwick Airport. Anybody hear that one? For like 3 days, they wouldn't let a single plane take off or land. And one report was like, there's 15 drones flying over and we've seen weapons on the bottom of these drones and mass chaos and hysteria, cats and dogs, and whew, it's amazing. Okay, April 28th, 2019, Gatwick Airport was closed. Like, I don't know how many flights, 140,000 passengers pissed because they can't get somewhere, and they're living in an airport. That's not my area of fun. So the police investigated, of course, because they're called, right? They actually arrested this couple, man and wife, who were in Gatwick Park flying a drone about 25 feet off the ground, taking a picture of their kid playing on a playset. It wasn't them. They were released. But they spent a lot of money. Okay? Next month, you're going to love this. Someone spent about, I don't know, it was like 8.9 billion pounds or whatever, because they're European, we're English, it's all metric, right? So it's a lot of money. They spent a ton of money, and it went to some cousin's nephew's sister company who runs drone security for airports. And now Gatwick all of a sudden got funding. So they listened to their hacker, because every hacker in this room knows that the only time you get funding out of the suits is within 2 weeks of an incident, right? Let's create an incident. And let's get funding. We got funding. Boom. So that was an old non-issue. Okay, so old school. Here are the commands. If you have an old school drone, you haven't updated your firmware in a while, you can actually use Nmap to find the IP address they're on, and you can actually FTP to it, and port 21 is open, and pick a choice script and run it against it. Metasploit has it built in, and boom, you got a CLI. In that CLI, you'll just awesomely notice the DJI runs Android. Go Google, right? Linux kernel boots up, loads a bunch of Android modules, and it's just the exact same environment that you know. You can do an LS, you can go into temp, you can go into user bin, you can go into user lib, you can download anything you want. And then there's this gorgeous XML file. Tools galore. Now there's this XML file. Now that we've been in there, now that we have the security key, now what do? There's a bunch of cool tools that have been written, because we like to write tools to do menial tasks, that go and grab this XML, download it, allow you to modify it, and change the aspects and flight characteristics of your UAV that you own. If you bought a Mavic Air, that's sort of like the Windows Vista of the DJI Air, DJI Land, and no one's gonna buy it. Does anybody here have a Mavic Air? Yeah, okay, good, smart people. Okay, so if you do damage, I'm not responsible. If you have a cat, I don't know why. Microsoft just came up with a suggestion of putting a cat on this, so don't do stupid things. So what kind of things can you do? How can you hack your drone? What would you want, and why would you want to hack your drone? Height limitations, okay? Part of the law says you can only fly 400 feet, right? part of the other law, if you continue to read it, says you can only fly 400 feet above whatever you're flying over. Downtown Salt Lake City, there's some pretty big buildings. I can go 400 feet over the 900 feet building. That's legal, absolutely. Because if you're a pilot, any real plane pilot jocks here, military guys, nobody? Okay, cool. So everything I say is true. No combat here. If you want to fly high to take a picture, you can. If you're flying in a plane, big plane, you're supposed to stay, so many feet, 1,000 feet or so above any object. So if you're in downtown Salt Lake City, you're supposed to stay 1,000 feet. Anyways, there's airspace. You can remove no-fly zones and geofencing, geo-restrictions. You should definitely beware of your no-fly zones. The building that we are staffed in right now in downtown Salt Lake City is about 100 feet out of the no-fly zone for Salt Lake City Airport. So if I go out our front door, I can fly up to 100 feet because of the upside-down wedding cake that flight zones are. If I go to the other side of the building, other than being a federal office, I can't take off and land. But if I wanted to take a picture of a riot at the federal office, I could legally or not unlock it, right? Galileo satellite reception, gotta have that. I went to Italy, flew my drone. It was cool over there. Police officers came up to me all the time. They're like, dude, what model is that? Oh, it's the Spark. Yeah, that's cool. Can I see what pictures you're taking? Yeah, sure, here, look cool. Okay, cool, great. One guy gave me his email address because I took a picture of him and I in front of this big cathedral. He's like, can you send that to me? Okay, good. Battery warnings. Batteries are always, vendors are weird about their batteries and they always jump things early. When the motors can be started, when they can be turned off. If you take a stock DJI drone and you turn it more than 30 degrees, it's one of those. That's another metric thing I don't understand. If you turn it more than 30 degrees, the motor shut off. That to me is sort of dumb, but you can hack that and keep the motors on the whole time, so you can do flips, right? No motor errors, does not require an internal SD card if you don't want to. Precision return to home, they actually fudge the return to home precision, so it's not exact. You can set that parameter to 0 so it's exact. Don't know why they did that. Anyways, enabled slower yaw, blah, blah, blah. New FCC mode, so you can transmit at a higher power here in the US than you can overseas. But if you go overseas and change this 1 to a 0, now you can transmit it at US. And you can optionally disable all the LEDs on the light, right? Because it sort of sucks when you're taking a picture at night or in the evening, you see this flash of red, so you turn them off. All this data is stored in a SQLite database. We all know how to hack that. And you can drag right in there. Their no flight zones are all carried in a NoSQL database, or a SQLite database. And they update this and add NFZs, no flying zones, all the time. There was actually an app that was delivered by some guys that said, you could add your home as a no-fly zone. And everybody's like, yeah, everybody clicking on it. It was on CNN and Fox, and everybody's like, hey, just turn your home into a no-fly zone, and then your neighbor can't fly on it. And then they're like, whoa, hold on. This isn't legal. Can't do this. We're not going to do this. So yeah, so it looks like a cell phone. Probably the same hardware as a cell phone. It's got a fan. Cools things off. It's got a lot of metal and plastic stuff. So there's, some ways to go in and hack it. But how are you going to get a picture like this? Right? Well, you have to change all these parameters, 463 to 9,000, 466 to 0, 467 to 0, blah, blah, blah. And then you can fly up, and I'm still less than 400 feet above the arch, so I'm good, according to some people. So here's the command options on how to do so, and that's a lot of blah, blah, blah. And of course, when you install this software to do the hacking, you just click OK on everything, right? It's like this little thing up here. Just plug it in your computer, don't care about it. I was just reading an article about somebody got hacked at a conference because the guy gave him a clicker to plug in, right? I went and asked him if he had a clicker, and he's like, oh yeah, right here, got one. Sure. Just plug it right in. So no clicker for me. Anyways, that's not why I didn't do it. Anyway, so I can't really read what that says in the publisher, so I just clicked OK. So now, let's try to do a live demo. I know how this goes. Not chanting for anybody, but these are the rules on live demos, the Demo God webpage. So if you want to read through those, we'll actually go to the demo. And what I want to do is I want to show you guys the newest way to hack a drone. So nowadays, let me fire this up really quick. Has to be powered on, obviously. But nowadays, there's a DJI Assistant application. And it's really cool, and it's really written in new, modern protocols. And you install this app, and you can't see my screen. Did I do something wrong? Can you see my screen? Can I borrow your clicker? Oh, good catch. Unplug and plug. Oh, maybe there's like that. Maybe there's that silly little. Oh, really? Function blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Oh, you guys can't see my screen. That really blows. Oh. Dun dun dun. Please. Oh, yay, demo gods. Yeah, Windows 10. Tell me about it. Yeah, there's some pictures I don't want to show anybody. All right. So you install this app, the DJI Assistant, and it runs through, and it's built with all these new cool tools, and everything's written in JavaScript, and everything's on the file system, and nothing is encrypted, and I don't know what they were thinking, but it allows you back inside. So you install it. You take this one file called main.js. I have no idea what that means. And you copy it over to this directory. And then you run DJI Assistant. Of course, you say yes to everything. And when you go in here, it brings open this little side window, which I've never seen before in my life on a browser. Because this is sort of like a browser application. And you navigate down here to local storage. You go to files, and you say debug. Yeah, sure. Let's debug, because we like debugs. And then I click on my Spark. And it goes through and it downloads all the debug options and all the entries. But if you also look down here, there's a list called parameters, which has every single parameter that's stuck in that XML file, right? So if I go through my nifty list and I say, okay, if I want to turn on really fast mode, I search for this parameter and I set it to 50. If I want to turn on vertical up and down so I can lean more into the wind, great, right? If I want to do more tilt, if I want to be able to do flips, if I want to have precision GPS landing, yeah, okay? Flight area restriction removals. I just change a 1 to a 0 or a 0 to a 1, and now I have to use my brain to say, should I be flying in here? Right? Probably. Probably not. Maybe. You guys all signed the non-disclosure, so I should. And then what's the, I don't know, so there's a go home velocity, right? You think, I'm low on batteries, let's just get home because I'm going to die and we're going to fall wherever we are, right? So they set this really slow. It's not even your normal speed, it just cruises. It's like, oh, okay, this is a funny way to allow me to sell more batteries or sell more drones, because you always see that movie, that guy running through the lake trying to grab his drone. Anyways, so you can set the return to home policy right there. It is a policy, I believe. And then you can set all the other device settings, flight settings. You can go into batteries. It's somewhere here. You can turn off that. And then you connect, disconnect, and save. And this is the other thing I wanted to show you. So there's this app called Dank Drones. Don't know how to translate that, not going to look it up. And it goes out and it actually downloads from several sites that are in a list that I don't want to look at, because then I complete ignorance. All custom ROMs for these, and every back ROM. So if DJI gets to the point where they're, okay, the current ROM is signed and you can't break it, there's an app called Dumbledore, right here, where I can actually run it, And what it does, yes, Assistant 2 is not closed. All right, close it. There's only one thing you can use a COM port at a time on Windows. So what it does is it actually goes and downloads, Dank downloader, while it's uploading or downloading. Wow. It's getting me the ROMs. Dumbledore here allows me to load the firmware onto the machine. And after the security guy at DJI said we're going to fix this problem, what he just meant is you can still exploit it, but we made it more difficult. Challenge accepted, right? So now you have to upload, and Dumbledore does this automatically. It uploads 2 bypass ROMs, and it actually reboots twice, puts it into a bootloader mode, puts it into a reverse debug bootloader mode, and then it allows any ROM. So even though they've updated the ROM to be keyed, you can still go back to the old ROM. And that's what Dumbledore does. So then after you're back in the old ROM, you can go and modify any of these INI settings and do whatever you want with your drum. Alrighty, so that is downloading. Here is an interesting thing. If you look at this, this is actually a decrypted, not a decrypted yet, but this is what the ROM is. And if you look at that, there's a kernel at the top, and then there's all these modules. Okay, you have a module for the motors, you have a modules for control, you have a module for camera, you have a module for no flying zones. Deleted. Okay, I got a module for speed control. Modified. Okay, I have a module for all the fancy cool moves that you can do with a drone and hand control and Jedi stuff. Deleted, added, and they're all loaded modules. And they don't do checks, so you can inject anything because they think they have a nice secure environment for this. So, without much ado, okay, here we go. So here's all the models. I know you guys can read all that because it's great print. You go pick what you want and say, okay, I have a Spark, and here's all the old revs of the tool, of the software, and I just say, download it. Boom. I have old copies of ROMs. And everybody keeps copies of ROMs, right? So then you unplug your drone, and you reboot it. Okay, anybody interested to see if it still flies? Last time I did this at a con, it took off and did an RTC. So, we'll see if it works. See if the Jedi trick works. Yep, okay, double tap the back. It sees me. Okay, take off. Okay. Come over here. No. Come over here. All right. And I want to take a selfie. Flashing red lights. Selfie. And because I'm a Jedi, it lands. Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns? Keep them to yourself. Phantom 3 and above. Phantom 2s are FTP hackable. If you get those on ksl.com, you can play with those. They're awesome. Great for the grandkids to bash with. I know, because I have one. Any other questions? Thank you very much.